you started the introduction about how um, everything changed for me because of my spiritual journey and what I was able to experience, and how I was able to actually find out why I came to this earth again and incarnated again. I don't want to make all the followers be scared right now and fearful that, oh my god, this chick is crazy. She's gonna talk about weird shit right now.
You don't use those words in your podcast.
Well, I just know that for some people who haven't been there, it's gonna be hard to accept. But again, once I was able to understand why I came here, is actually to share this experience with people and maybe awake that instinct of seeking within, so that everybody could experience it, because it's so liberating when you understand that you actually live in the illusion of your mind, and your understanding and realization of who you are, it is an illusion of your mind. And in fact, we all live in this um, within these boundaries of what's right and what's wrong. And if those boundaries become very rigid, and whatever goes in life that we don't accept, that's beyond the approval of our understanding what's right and how it should be, that creates suffering within, because anything that's not accepted by our mind, your mind is trying to protect you, and your mind is trying to protect you in every situation when you feel pain. So pain is a catalyst, I would say, in any spiritual awakening process. And for me, that was the same. You asked how it happened that before I was all about chasing career and chasing stuff. So life is not about chasing. When I realized that that was my illusion of success, first of all, that was my, for some reason, my mind, there is this voice within that's talking to you and say, hey, success, this and this and this, and this is what you need to do. Perfect look is this and this and this, and that's why you need to work out 3 hours every day so that you have a six-pack. This is how you should act in society, this is how society should treat you, and if they don't, then it's your way or the highway. So this is like those automatic patterns of thinking, they are being developed in every human being, since I would say that starts very early in the process, when your soul is still not incarnated here into physical plane. Your soul vibration, which is basically the tendencies that this localized consciousness was experiencing in past lives. For example, in past life, this soul was experiencing fear all the time. The soul was experiencing depression and stress. The soul was not accepting, things about him or herself, or things about society or the world around. So based on those feelings, there are certain tendencies that are being developed in a soul vibration. So everything in the universe is energy vibration. And when I talk about soul, it's just so beyond what the science can study, because the science can go as deep as how the atom work, and proton and neutron and electrons, how they are moving. So the science can see that. But when we start talking about quantum field and the smaller particles, which is more like on the level of electromagnetic field, on the level of energy, and beyond the energy that science can see in the lab. And this is hidden within us in such a perfect way. That's why, like, when you wake up, you're like, wow, this is miraculous. How everything built, like the planets, the sun, the solar system, the stars, the galaxies, yourself, your body, which you are a model of how the universe is built. When you wake up to this, you just can't help it. And when you understand that you lived in this illusion of who you are, and thinking that your body is you, it's like squeezing yourself into this little box called body. So when you wake up to this, you just can't help it. The whole world changes around. And I would say it's not like the world is changing, it's the way you look at it changes. But the way you look at it changes the world. If you look at the world in a different way, you have different thoughts, first of all. If, for example, I don't look at my knee injury as a punishment, okay? I don't look at my knee injury as something that, is here to screw my life. I'm looking at my knee injury as a event, as a life experience that was given to me for my soul evolution. Because during the whole process of recovery and the whole process of surgery, and like when you start actually feeling how everything is healing in your body, how every cell of your body is programmed for life, how you can even think about death. If the cells know what needs to be done to be alive and they are consciously healing, only your ego mind can tell you that there is death, because ego is attaching itself to the body and realizing the analytically that the body is not eternal. The ego makes a conclusion that there is death and you're gonna die, but you're not dying. Who is dying is the characters that lives within your body. But if you are not able to dive deeper than that character, it's gonna be hard to grasp. That's why at the beginning I said that some people might think it's crazy, but there is something within every human being. There is something within every human being that wants to wake up, something that that wants to expand, something that knows that you are not your body. That's why that energy within, that's being within each of us, is going to be transformed into actions like career, making more money. You make more money, but then again your ego is pushing you to make more, because that's the nature of human being. It's a constant evolution and growth. But the problem with that is that trying to achieve this eternal feeling of yourself through physical means is gonna bring more confusion and more destruction, because it cannot be achieved by physical means. Like I said, some people trying to achieve that through relationships. They can have 10 kids, or even one kid, or even two kids, or trying to achieve that through number of friends, or fame, or buying 10 houses, buying 10 boats, buying 10 Rolls Royces. But they get there, it's a temporary feeling of like, oh wow, I'm doing great, and then it comes back to that feeling, yeah, but there is something missing. And majority of human beings on planet Earth right now, this is the nature of third dimension living, third dimension consciousness, where consciousness identifies itself with body and the egoic structure or mental structure that lives within this body, without understanding that you are actually the one who is experiencing these characters that lives within you. And this character that lives within you, if you are not the one who chose to be this character, it's going to make you suffer. Because this character was created automatically. When you are born, you are a clean board. You are absorbing everything. You are like a vacuum cleaner. You absorb a lot of dust as well, by the way. The dust that will make you suffer. These understandings of who you are, how you should dress, how you should talk, what's good or bad. As soon as, especially in our culture in Ukraine, as soon as you are born, they already make you a Christian. Like they already take you to the church and baptize you. You have no idea what's that, but they put a cross on you and they already identify you that you are a Christian. I am not saying it's good or bad. What I'm saying is that it adds one more identity that you have to play in your life. For example, when adult person would have to play an identity of mom, an identity of father if it's a male, an identity of successful business lady, let's say, an identity of daughter, identity of mother, identity of Christian, good Christian or bad Christian. So when we collect all these identities that we didn't choose, then there is meaning attached to every identity. So your brain is operated in a way where it's trying to explain each identity to you and divide this way, divide what's good or bad. For example, your understanding of what it means to be a mom might be different from understanding of what it means to be a mom for another woman. Your understanding of who is Christian is different from understanding of another person who is Christian. So all this understanding of who Christian is divides the whole world to you into two worlds, which is accepted by your mind and not accepted. And that's how your mental structure is being built. That's how all your thought processes are being triggered. Because as soon as inbound information, like through your five senses, you receive tremendous amount of information these days through virtual environments, through there are so many ways you receive information. Or somebody even just say something. Somebody would say, oh, Lila, you are not a good Christian because you are not going to the church. And in this situation, because in your understanding what good Christian is, it doesn't mean to go to the church every Sunday and discuss how everyone looks at the church and dresses at the church, because you have certain understanding of what Christianity, your mind will develop a defense and say, how do you know that I am not a good, because it's automatic. The defense is already there. It's like software running in your mind, what you need to say to protect your mental boundaries. So, and that's how communication then is being built. That's how people choose their life partners. They're choosing the life partners that trigger least amount of triggers in them. That basically the mental structure coincides with that person to the level where there is least amount of friction between them. Why a lot of couples are suffering these days after living together for a few years is that because the mind starts learning this person more and more, and there are no two the same individuals. There are no two the same identical mental structures that would coincide 50%. And the ones that are not the same will be escalated in the course of time. And right now, where we live in the society where women can provide for themselves, they actually, women these days, they chose the way of developing and embracing more masculine inner energy than ever before. So they fighting for women's rights. It means using masculine energy for nothing, because it's further dividing humanity into two parts, women and men. So your mind is working in that way and building all those boundaries and defenses then based on those boundaries. When you dismantle, what happened to me is that mental structure that I had within me became so rigid and inflexible that it helped me to be successful. It helped me to make money. It helped me to successful in the meanings that at that time I had for myself. But again, that was not a constant, understanding of, if I do this, I'm going to be done for the rest of my life. I'm going to be just sitting and watching. It was constant, pushing from within. Yes, now you need more. You achieve this, you need more. And this always is coming, it's not coming from your true nature. Have you ever, I'm going to ask you a question. If you look at because maybe I talk too much, you can interrupt me.
Be the one who's practicing speaking. Okay.
Right. So let me ask you a question, Lina. When you look in anything in nature, like anything in nature, you go to the forest, you look at the trees, you go to the garden, you look, let's say, at flowers. What do you notice about anything in nature? It's just a random question. Try to describe what you notice, something that's picks your eye.
Usually people go to nature, for instance, to get energy, to relax from the routine.
Okay, but what do you notice? Why do they go in nature to relax and get away from their routine, from their box?
It because they can't do the same thing all the time, like work. They get tired from the routine and from this achievement, like race. You should do more, better. Uh,
Yeah. See, like you pointed out really nicely, the chase of doing more, all this stuff, this is because there is a pressure that you're running out of time and you need to do this because your life is just squeezed into this, I don't know how many years the average person lives, but, that you only have, let's say, 85 years, then your body will die and you have to do something within. See, like this is a very narrow understanding of life, which adds additional pressure to human beings. So we are called human beings for a reason. We are beings. But when we are constantly doing, we forget that we are beings. So we go into nature and we see these beautiful flowers as blossoming, or tree that is just being, and you're observing that there is no stress there, that there is no this energy that human beings are carrying of useless stress, because flower doesn't realize and doesn't know, like the flower doesn't have in its consciousness, because everything is consciousness, the flower doesn't have that feeling that it is running out of time, and the trees don't have that feeling that they run out of time. The birds don't have that feeling. They're calm. They are just being in a moment. So that consciousness within those um, objects of consciousness, localized consciousness, they are just being in a moment. And when a human being is constantly in the society where you compare yourself to others and others are chasing something, who knows what, because everything's gonna reconcile when you leave the physical plane, everything's gonna be reconciled. The only thing that you're gonna keep at that moment, the feelings you went through, how you felt during your life, that's the only thing that's gonna impact your soul's evolution's journey further. So when you release that stress, that there is nothing to gain and there is nothing to lose, because that's how the whole nature around you operates. There is, the flower is blossoming and sharing this aromatic sense, like an aromatic scent, a smell with you. It's not stressing out about it, it's just being. And isn't it beautiful when something is just being, without stressing about the time, without comparing itself to others, and it's all effortless. That's how the nature of human beings should be. We should be blossoming effortlessly. And that can only happen when you truly understand your true nature, that there is nothing to gain, there is nothing to lose in this life, because everything gets reconciled when you leave your physical body, and understanding that you are not your physical body. Like, even when we listen to the language, when I say, you are not your physical body, I'm saying your physical body. Whose physical body? Body. So, something that is yours, it can be yours, but it cannot be you. Whoever calls it my body, that is you. So right now, if we cut your brain, there is no image of Mira there. There are no sounds. There's just a jelly substance in your brain. So your brain is an antenna. It receives this information and then sends it to consciousness, where the whole process of putting the image together based on your previous experiences is happening. So consciousness, or Lila, this is not your body. This is the result of how your images in your consciousness are happening. You have to look in certain way, you have to wear this lipstick today, this is a product of your desire, right? Product of your thoughts. This is how I should talk, and this is what I should do in life. So this is not what's happening in your brain. This is happening in a shapeless and formless consciousness. Okay?
I think it's interesting for me what kind of people come to this understanding. Maybe you communicate with them because I think only those who like covered all basic needs like having a good house, a car, money, and so on, have a nice career, they have enough money to travel and so on. Only they come to a state when they understand that all of these financial things that they have aren't enough for their happiness. But before you covered all your basic goals, you don't come to this understanding. Do you agree with that? Because you also say that at the end of life, everything we will remember
Right.
is our feelings, which we had. But we also have feelings when we travel, for example. We can have like broader experience, and if we just live in one house without any goals in one place for the whole life, you have less feelings than a person who can uh, have different experiences which he can buy for money. Am I wrong?
Huh?
Am I wrong? Uh, because only I think only maybe those who live in Eastern countries, Buddhists, come to this because it's like from childhood they um, get all this stuff. Like their religion is to nothing material, more spiritual, and all these things. But in Western countries, for example, in Canada, in the US, even in Ukraine, people come to more spiritual values only when they have enough money and enough achievements in their like usual life.
From my experience and how I feel about my spiritual journey is that it actually has nothing to do with money and career and how much you make, where you live, how much you travel. It all comes down to how much pain you feel within. And believe me, the richest people in the world can feel the biggest pain you can ever imagine. So I think that spiritual awakening is very unique for every human being. And, you know, I know people with who woke up because they had a near death experience. They didn't wake up because they made enough money and was like, okay, now I'm gonna sit and meditate and I want to experience enlightenment. So I would say that the biggest catalyst for spiritual awakening is the amount of pain you have within. Because if you have more pain than the mental structure can keep, then it just breaks and it explodes. So I can tell you a story about one person who didn't make a lot of money, who actually, in fact, was almost homeless. You know, he had enough money to buy food, basically, to buy food and basic needs like. And even, by the way, when you understand your true nature and you understand about spirituality and that you are not your body and you are not your mind, the appetite changes as well. You know, the desire for food, I would say, becomes less. You are turning into a more efficient machine, I would say, because there is you receive energy from so many other sources, not only from food. Well, I noticed for myself is that my appetite for food changed a lot. Uh, so that person, what happened to him is that he got sick. He got sick and he was taken to the hospital and they diagnosed him with cancer. So the doctors, based on all, how the science works, how medical science works, is that they first, what they do, they look for a problem in you, they localize it and say, okay, you have a cancer and you have 1 month of life left. So that's what they told him, like, yes, buddy, you have cancer, you have 1 month left, and you can stay in the hospital, we can make it easier for you, and like give you all the painkillers and stuff, and so that it's easier for you to die. So he's like, interesting, how can they know that I'm gonna die in a month? Like, see, like, that's the operation of your mind, that in science people like to set deadlines, people like to describe and define everything. It's not how it works in life. It's not. And then what happens is that this thought process was triggered in him about how can they know when I'm gonna die. And he was in meditative state, he was trying to understand, like, how these deadlines operate in a miracle that's called life. So basically what happened is that they kept him in the hospital, like 1 month passes, 2nd month passes, 3rd month passes, the results are getting better, and they couldn't explain what was really happening. But this guy was just meditating and trying to understand who he is, right? So what happened is that they were waiting for 3 months. This person didn't die. They put him in the hallway because they say, hey, looks like you are feeling better now, but we have other patients coming in, like, we're gonna put you in the hallway. He's like, okay, sure. He was continuing this inner process of finding who you are, and at the end, actually, he recovered. They literally, like, let him go because he was already fine. Like, he was totally, the whole process finished with him with enlightenment and understanding that he is not his body. And this fear, fundamental fear of death, when you remove it, you are not resisting. Within you, there is no this resistance of the possibility that you might die every moment, because death and life are the same. It's just one moment. But your mind is creating illusion about the future death, right? So he left the hospital, and what he started doing, he went to the market. It was his choice. He went to the market to sell fruits and vegetables. And then when another enlightened being came up to him, you actually can sense its energy, that this person has woken up, that this person is just, watching the show in life, and he's like, hey buddy, like, what are you doing here on the market? Why market? He's like, yeah, now with every fruit that I give to the person, I bless them to get to the hospital and get cancer. Because this what changed my life. So any huh?
He cured himself by meditation, or
he cured himself by realizing who he is. Yeah, by realizing that he is not his body, that he is not this little physical box that he is squeezed in, and that even if death happens, it happens for his soul's spiritual evolution. But again, when I call it soul, for people who hasn't experienced it, it's something mystical, because it's not something you can understand intellectually. It all comes from your inner experience. It's not something you can, okay, I'm going to read a book and I will find out what is soul. This is how human intellect, the top of which is only 3 or 4% of your mind, of human intellect, works. It's like we collect all this information and then we think we are smart. But that's not what makes you smart. What makes you smart is actually realization what that information means in a grand, like in a bigger scale, on a universal level, because people collect information, majority of people collect information to show that they are smart, which means it's a part of their thinking who they are, of their identity, and protect their boundaries, because they think if they know more, they can protect this mental construct that lives within you, or characters that lives within you. That's why they read and try to remember everything, because this might come up, and I want to use this information to show that I'm smart, or to show that I'm not dumb. So information by itself, it's like you have let's say, a soap to wash your hands, but you don't know how to wash your hands, you know? So it's useless when you can't really understand what this information means on a bigger scale. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, this person, he wasn't rich at all. Like, he had enough money for food, but then life presents you circumstances from which your soul can evolve. And it all comes down whether your mind will allow you to grow from it, or it will keep you a slave, which is, you basically, your mind will start sending you thoughts that won't allow you to grow. Because what it does is it always tries to protect this character that lives within you.
It's very interesting how people come to this, but I'm a person who needs like step-by-step instructions. How do people uh, opposite from what you say? What is the first step to this spiritual awakening? Like, he was in the hospital and began meditating. It means he just finds some meditations online and listens, like tries to get himself to the state when he feels his parts of body and all this stuff. Because, for example, I can't meditate. I mean, for example, yoga also doesn't fit me, I think, because I can't just disconnect from everything in my mind, and I can't go into the state where I'm calm and all these things. How do people start the process? Or it's just some videos from gurus who just explain how everything works? How did you start it?
Well, first of all, Lila, I have to disappoint you. There is no instruction for spiritual awakening. And it's every person is going through its own, his or her own journey in terms of spiritual awakening and understanding your true nature. For me personally, I didn't meditate to feel that within me. I didn't meditate and sat for hours to understand who I am. But would you agree that wherever you go, you carry your thoughts with you? And for me, because in my past, it also depends on which stage your soul is on. You know, it might, maybe it's not the time for your soul to wake up at this, for your spirit to wake up in this lifetime. Maybe it's going to happen in the next lifetime. That's why when we talk spirituality, we have to be very careful, because my experience that I experienced, I should not push it on anybody. All I can say is that what I experienced, right? And maybe, you know, it will plant the seed in you in the future to, you know, for certain processes in your mind that will bring you closer. So there is nothing wrong with you if you haven't felt that. That's what I wanted to tell. Maybe it's just not, actually, it might not be the time for your soul, you know, to feel this, to feel itself within your body. So it's nothing wrong with that. And majority of people haven't experienced it. That's why I might sound a bit weird, because it's not a typical thing right now in humanity to feel that. So, but there is a shift already happening in, you know, how the planet Earth is experiencing itself, in the vibrations it is experiencing. It's already in the fourth dimension, and that's why humanity is feeling all this feelings of depression and anxiety. So many people are not happy with their own thoughts, you know. So that is a sign that this pain is being built up. This pain is being built up, and once it gets to the point where the pressure becomes so strong that your mental structure cannot handle it, then there will be a trigger event in your life. There will be a trigger, a catalyst. You know, any reaction needs a catalyst to begin it, right? So there will be a catalyst whether in this lifetime, in next lifetime, in who knows when. Nobody knows, right? Nobody knows when your consciousness is gonna make this shift. And that's the beauty of life, is that everybody is on his own journey. There is no recipes, there is no instruction, but just know that at some point there will be a catalyst in your life where this mental structure won't be able to keep up with that pain. And then, you just have no idea how the consciousness within you, the soul, the localized consciousness, how smart it is, and how it will do everything right without you knowing it. In my case, the universe put me together with a person who was exactly the mirror of my mental structure, and it triggered so much pain within me that I didn't know existed, because I was distracting myself all the time from that pain. I was distracted myself with doing stuff, with working out, with making money, with building career, with, if as soon as I felt uncomfortable within, I already had automatic defenses how to deal with that. I would go hang out with friends. I would be so social, my friends who would actually support my limitations, these mental boundaries, and say, Mira, but you are better than that. Like, you're amazing. You make good money, you have good career. It was like, wow, actually, yeah. So it reinforced my understanding who I am. Like, I was hanging out with people basically who supported my limitations, and that's fine. That's what we call friends, is that these are people who support the limitations of our mental structure, so that when we are in pain, we go to those people, they support the structure. Are you following me?
Yeah, it's we're acting from the state of victim, and they are the saviors, or how, this
Similar to
connection,
that.
the
Yeah, similar to that.
angle, yeah. Um, did anything change in your life? I mean, you still work at the previous job, and still, did you actually change anything to live, in a new way without all this pressure and so on? Because you do still have pressure, or you just don't pay attention to it, and um, don't stress within deadlines, and just enjoy your life, and just have less stress, because you know that it's not the end of life if you don't follow the deadline, or even if you get if your supervisors opposite from higher, the opposite.
Yeah, so see, the beauty of spiritual.
Yeah.
What's that?
Fire you, right? You don't
Sorry, something wrong with audio. I don't know. I didn't catch what you said.
uh, do you hear now?
Yeah, it's better now. Yeah.
I mean, you haven't changed anything. I mean, the job, you just feel less stress because you don't worry about deadlines so much as before, and so on. Or you are going to change everything to leave the job and go, I don't know, travel, and teach people how to live your way. Do you plan to change anything?
Well, I know for sure. I don't plan anything. First of all, now where I am, I don't plan anything. But I know that when you understand your true nature and who you are, and feel that eternal being within you, it's just a completely different lens that you are wearing to look at the world. So what happens is that, first of all, some people, when they experience it, they go through crazy changes. They go and turn into monks and sit in the cave and meditate for the rest of their lives. You know, some people choose to be involved, you know, with physical forms and shape, human beings, animals, whatever they feel like what their soul came here. It just depends what your soul was here, landed in this physical body for. And for me, because I was able to feel, you know, why I came back here, you know, for me it's just easy to feel in which direction my life will go. So I know for sure that a lot of changes will come, but the beauty of life is that I don't know what exactly is going to change. I just let life unfold in front of me. So when spiritual awakening happening, it's not, it doesn't mean that you have to resist to everything you have and everything you are today. It's not about that. It's about watching it from the distance. It's about becoming a witness of what's happening with your character that lives within. First of all, you construct a character that you enjoy. You construct a character within you that doesn't cause you suffering, that doesn't produce thoughts that drain you. You know, you create a character within which was not automatically created by past life experiences. You actually choose whom you want to be, you know? And because you choose whom you want to be, anytime when you start feeling that it's not fitting, you make adjustment to that character. You're not changing external world. You are changing who you are if you are not comfortable with it. That's the beauty of it, is that you can choose whom you want to be any moment, you know. And because you know that there is no end of the life, when you were referring that if you don't meet the deadline, it's not the end of the life. It's not about thinking about deadlines anymore. It's about understanding that there is no end of the life. Because yes, your body can die, and that character that lives within that body dies with the body. But what that character felt, that is the eternal part. So right now, when I know that I'm choosing my character, I'm choosing who lives in this body, I'm choosing that. If it starts creating pain and I get triggered, then I sit and I understand why I'm being triggered and why this vibrations of emotions which are lower than the vibrations of your soul, lower than peace, let's say, like let's say it's anger, fear, or judgment. You judge yourself, oh, you should have done more. I already know that this is not my true nature who's saying that. Voice is coming from this character. It's not coming from who I am. So right now where I am, it's just easy for me to adjust those mental boundaries and fit them to what I'm here for. So I know for sure lots of changes are coming into my life, but spiritual awakening, it's not about creating a hurricane of what you built. It's about, you know, when you have, let's say you have a water bottle, right? You have a water bottle. Anything that's external, that's what you built, and that's where, you know, this where you live right now, right? But what's within, it can be filled with water or can be empty. So nothing, the bottle doesn't change when we just empty it. The bottle doesn't change if we put water in it. So when I refer to the changes, I'm not going to change the bottle, but I'm going to change the substance within. And the substance within is the feeling, what I feel about the bottle. So what I feel about the bottle completely changed. When I talk about pain, pain is actually means that we add additional pressure inside the bottle, right? We add additional pressure, which hurts, right? Because if you keep adding pressure, let's say, you know, you add pressure in the bottle, what's gonna happen one day? Yes, it's metal, but it's gonna blow up one day. So right now, when what happened with me, that my mental construct, which is equivalent of bottle, blew up. Like I was nothing. And I felt like I didn't know who I am, where I am, what I'm doing here, it was completely like as if I'm empty. I am nothing. That's the feeling that I felt. Might sound a bit weird, you know, intellectually hard to understand, but that's what happened when the bottle blew up. All the air was within. Just it became into nothing. You know that you are nothing. There is nothing to gain, nothing to lose in here in this shape, because everything's gonna get reconciled when you leave your physical body. So then it's like, okay, this is all illusion. You know, what my understanding of what life is, who I am, this was all illusion. And if that illusion created pain and pressure within this bottle, how about if I create the illusion at least I enjoy? Right?
Yeah.
So if everything is an illusion, which is pretty much, you know, we doesn't matter how much money we make, doesn't matter how much information we collect in our brain, doesn't matter if we have 10-pack or 6-pack, everything's gonna get reconciled during death. You know, you're gonna leave this physical body. If everything in your life that you chased was physical, that's dangerous, because you're gonna be attached to this physical shape so much, and you're gonna resist natural flow. So everything what I had was illusion before, and now the same thing. It's still an illusion, but I created the illusion that I enjoy.
How do you know for sure that there is something after death? And you mentioned about your previous lives. How did you actually see who you were, how many lives before, and how can you know for sure that you really will, that life of your soul will continue? It's just a belief, or you know, I want to have some scientific things that will tell that, yeah, it will happen, that we don't die, that this is not the only life. Though I understand that we have something inside like soul, which shouldn't die with me, but I still have the fear of death, and I think it's my main fear, because I'm very I'm nervous about my health and all this stuff. And if I was sure that the end of this life is not the whole end, I think I would feel less pressure, and not so nervous about when something happens with health, even some little things.
Yeah. See, like, that's the thing about spirituality. If you want a scientific proof, like, can I ask you this? Was science created by humans?
What?
Was science created by humans?
Yes.
So before science was created, humans were not human?
They were.
They were. So why do we need something that we already manufactured and created? Why do we need the product of what we created telling us if it's true or it's not true? Do you follow me? Like, why do we already it already came from our intellect, okay? The starting point was human intellect to create something in science, any research, blah, 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 all that stuff, which actually should be a way of exploration, what already exists. What I'm saying is that science, it should be a journey, an enjoyable journey for human beings to explore themselves and their nature. It should not be a way to judge if it's true or not true. When it becomes a way to judge if it's true or not true, that's where people get lost. Because science is already a product of something that we have.
Okay, so how did you learn about your past lives?
See, it's coming from an inner experience. It's coming from an inner experience because the consciousness that's within, it doesn't need to see it by your eyes, or hear it by your ears. Five senses are not needed for your consciousness or for your soul to understand its existence. Okay, so right now, if I tell you, let's ask science to prove that love exists, what science will tell me?
No science. I don't
Can science prove that love exists?
No.
No, and yet this is something that moves our lives. When a small baby is born, the mother loves that child like crazy. It's already there. You don't need science to prove that love exists, do you?
No, but you somehow know who you were in the past lives and so on. So how did you feel it? And how do you know who exactly you were before?
Oh, I even know the name.
How?
Yeah, in my past life, I was doing the same thing in this life. That's the thing about humans, is that because on this planet Earth, there are two rules that operate on planet Earth right now. So with humans, there is a veil of forgetfulness. Marina, привет. Hi. So there are two rules. There is a veil of forgetfulness, where we are born, where we're landed in this small little body. We don't remember what happened to us in our past life, right? We don't.
Yeah.
We don't remember how we felt when we were in our mother's womb. We don't remember that. So there is this veil of forgetfulness. But the baby in the mother's womb is already alive, and the heart is beating. So there is a veil of forgetfulness. That's one. And the second one is there is free will. Free will, it means that each soul is an extension of initial creator. There is an oversoul, basically an oversoul that split into different souls. Again, I'm trying to pick the right words to express something that's beyond science and beyond physicality. It's hard to do that because it's beyond language. Language is already a product of humans, right? So that's why it's so hard to express something that was there before language existed, you know? Mm-hmm. So, when that it only can come in your own experience and from within, that this clarity of who you are, who you were before, why you're here for, it only can come from within. It's not something that science can tell you or psychologists can tell you. There is no psychologist or any guru or anybody who can tell you that. It's as if something wakes up in you and you just know everything is so clear in front of you. You know what life is about. You know why you're here for. You know your illusion. You know what's happening in the universe, right? So science will never be able to prove that. The only science right now is getting closer and closer. Saying that the state that we're in, if we're in a state of anxiety, there are certain chemicals that being produced by our body in that moment, based on the state we're in. You agree with that, right? Mm-hmm. If you are anxious or you are angry or you are full of fear, there is certain type of chemicals being created in your body, hormones, chemicals that are being triggered by your state. Yeah. But if we cut your brain, there is no state of anxiety or fear in your brain. So basically, your brain receives this inbound information through 5 senses that being evolved in humans to this level, 5 senses, right? We receive inbound information through 5 senses. Our brain takes it and then sends it to the consciousness, and consciousness makes a conclusion. Okay, this is pain, you need to do this. It sends back into your brain the instructions what needs to be done in your body. But consciousness by itself, it's shapeless. It's shapeless and it's formless. It's not something you can look under the microscope in a lab, right? So different human beings have different lines of borders of this consciousness. You know, some people have it very localized. When they are identifying themselves with their physical shape and body, that consciousness is very localized. So anything that is beyond those boundaries will create, you know, it's going to send signals to your brain to protect. Based on those signals, it brings you into certain states, anxiety, stress, blah, blah, blah. So when your consciousness, when you start feeling every human being, how you feel yourself, your consciousness is not localized anymore to this antenna. Your consciousness is a unity consciousness which embraces all the humanity, planet Earth. You can actually feel which energy planet Earth is vibrating in. Okay, so because your consciousness is not localized just to your physical shape, right? When spiritual awakening happening, your consciousness breaks the limitations of physicality. Your consciousness expands further. Your consciousness can embrace, you know, humanity, Earth, galaxy, universe. That's how I know that planet Earth is already, because every planet has its consciousness. It has its consciousness. We are part of it. It's like as if the equivalent of that would be every cell in our body is a sentient being. And every cell in our body has its own intelligence and its own consciousness. We are a bunch of cells. We are a bunch of cells. Same thing. We are a cell of a bigger body, of a bigger consciousness, right? So when you are able to connect to that bigger consciousness, to that bigger intelligence, to that universal intelligence, there is no language there anymore. There is no, because language is the human thing. So when your consciousness is able to connect to higher consciousness, language is gone and science is gone as well. It's all coming from within. It's as if you are flow with that universal consciousness flow.
And how much time did you need to get all of this information when after you began exploring this topic about your past lives and everything? Do you have some mentor, or it's just it just comes all the time itself?
With spiritual awakening that I experience, it's let's look at computer technologies, okay? Like, I think it's a very good analogy because computer technologies, they come from human intellect. They come from that source, right? So there is hardware, there is a computer by itself. Then in every computer, there is software. And then there is cloud, right? So when we look at a human being, our body, that's hardware. Something we can touch, something we can see, something that, you know, we can feel with 5 senses, right? So this is hardware. Then there is your mind. Your mind, which was programmed evolutionary through your experiences, all these automatic self-defenses that it developed, that is software. It's running automatically. Okay? So what happens is with spiritual awakening, it basically, it means that this software is no longer serving you. Your computer starts to freeze, you know? That's where you feel so much pain. You don't know how to cope with it. Your mind's trying to create thoughts. It's constantly thinking. You are trying to do stuff to distract yourself. That just means your software is crashing. Okay? And the software, when I talk about consciousness, which is formless, which is shapeless and eternal. That is cloud.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are able to actually realize and dive to the level of cloud, you know that you are not hardware. That hardware is a product of cloud.
Okay. I'm beginning to load.
Right? So what happens when you connect your software, spiritual awakening, it just means that you are breaking the limitations of you being a hardware, physical body, right? You understand that your software is not serving you. It's actually it's causing pain within. It's not serving you anymore. Your software starts to crash. That's your thoughts, blah blah blah. And then you connect to the cloud, and you make cloud as a source of truth. Software is no longer your source of truth. That's why when you said I need science, blah blah blah, science is a product of software. It's a product of your mind, of human mind, right? So how can I trust science, which is a product of software that's crashing? How I can trust it if I already connected to universal consciousness, which is cloud? So there is when spiritual awakening happens, just means that you have downloaded cosmic intelligence, and there is no language there, science, whatever happens in your life, death, injuries, you're taking it with a smile because you know that you are not hardware. You are taking everything, you are embracing everything because you are not hardware.
Mm-hmm. I even don't know what to ask more. I feel like I understand what you're talking, but it's like some other language. Actually, it is other language, but like, can it actually happen? I'm very curious how it works, because I'm curious and I want to know more, and I think everyone wants to be independent of different triggers and all this stuff, just to feel happy and don't worry about little things that happen every day. So it's a really interesting topic. So subscribe to Miroslava's YouTube channel and to the podcast Spiritualize, it's called. I'm looking forward to your new series. Maybe if when you receive information step by step in little portions, it better fits in mind and changes the way you feel and understand things. So it's very interesting. Thank you for
You're welcome. You know why people do this?
to thank. It somehow connects your body. I
So,
mean, like dance. For some energy. No.
yeah. So this is a very old gesture, right? And a lot of gurus, a lot of people who experience spiritual awakening, they use it. Actually, it becomes very automatic. It becomes downloaded into your software. new updated software. So what this means is that after spiritual awakening, there will be a new character who lives in this body. And when you experience that, usually that character will be, the new software that's going to be uploaded, it's going to be all programmed to awaken other human beings. And it's really important not to push too much and not to preach it to somebody who's not ready to hear it, okay? Because that's going to create resistance in that person, and that's already wrong. You, as a person who is awakened, your job is to plant the seeds who are willing to accept those seeds, right? So when your characters, this new character that you chose, who lives within you right now, let's say it's a character who wants to awaken all the humanity. You know, when it becomes very crystallized and rigid, sometimes you can push it onto other people. That's where it's already going against it. Okay, that's already going against free will rule, which I mentioned, right? So this gesture, it's a reminder. It's a reminder for every spiritual being not to push it, because we're all one. Because if I'm gonna push it on you, it's gonna create resistance in you, and my job is to bring you into a better state, not into a worse state than before our conversation, right? So when I push my energy on you, which is, oh, Lila, you have to meditate, you have to do it every day, do this is wrong, because every soul is on its own journey, and I'm just sharing my journey. And I know that because we're all coming from oversoul, we're all coming from the same cloud. Cloud is one, and that's the only truth. And that's why we're all one. Two hands exist and separation exists only when you perceive life on an intellectual level, which always divides with good or bad. I'm smart, I'm awake, and now I'm gonna push it on all. This is wrong already, you know? When you are acting as if, you know, as if you're just sharing how you feel, you know, because we're all one, and not push it on another soul, because that soul is on its own evolutionary journey, and understanding that we're all one cloud, and I'm not here to cause pain in you because we're all one cloud. That's why I do this.
Okay. Thank you for this live. And by the way, who asks about a link to your channel with this podcast and your meditations, I will add it to my stories because I can't send it right here. Okay, Miroslava, it's almost night here in Ukraine. So I was very happy to talk to you, and thank you for this interesting information. It's something for thinking.
Food for thought.
Food for thought. Yeah, thank you. And I want to learn. I will listen to your podcasts, and I want to learn more. That I don't think I'm on this stage where I can understand everything, but it's very interesting, and I think it needs uh, to be learned. Or at least
It needs to be
listen.
felt.
Okay.
It needs to be felt from within. And you will one day, Leah. Another something that I wanted to, don't push it, you know, make it a natural process within. Don't, oh, I want to get in line, now I'm gonna listen to all possible meditations and do this. It has to be natural. And believe me, life will present circumstances which will bring you closer.
You know, I'm now in the States when I want to grow my business, to immigrate, to achieve, and all this stuff, which contradict with the things you say. So
no, it's a part of what I said. you need to do all that. You need to do all that in your journey. So it's a part of that.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much again. And thanks for all people who listen to us live and who will listen when I post it. I will write Miroslava's profile, so subscribe, and thank you who will subscribe to my channel from Miroslava. By the way, I have an Instagram school, so who I'm pushing it, who wants to learn more about Instagram promotion and how to get followers here and how to get clients out of social media, subscribe to my Blogger Maker School, and the link I have in my profile.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a nice day. And see you.
Yes, you too, Lida. And good luck with your test and TOEFL prep.
Thank you. IELTS.
IELTS.
This
IELTS,
time
yes.
IELTS.
IELTS
Yeah.
prep, yeah. I'm sure you're gonna do great. Your English is amazing, so don't even worry about it. And it's general IELTS, so you'll be fine.
I hope so. Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Bye
welcome.
bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Bye.